Alright, it looks like we're off now. So, a lot of this game is built in the mechanic of equipping and using items to not only interact with items in like the kind of overworld area, but also you combine them with other items. So it's a puzzle game. Everything's going to be based around those items in order to just progress through each part of the game. And as such, the menuing as well as the mashing through all the text is going to be a huge thing that can determine whether a racer is doing better or worse than another racer. So you see Kona taking a bit of a lead with just better menuing and some movement, although one big slip up with the basement key, basically tying them. It still looks like Kona has a small lead, though, grabbing our light bulb, which is a major item in the game. Acting as the world's new sun, your goal is to take this light bulb to the top of an area in the middle called the tower. But first, we have to get out of this house. You have to equip the light bulb to get out of the house, so that's what's happening there. And now with the sun, they are leaving the house, which is something that a few runners didn't even know was possible, because the house is a joke, kind of, because of how difficult it is. And now we are entering the Barrens. So the Barrens is the first major area of the game here. We're going to have a lot of time spent here. This is actually a pretty long-ish area, so you do have to, you know, kind of get ready for the endurance. This first split here in the Barrens, where we are going to go up here with our fast travel to get that fast travel point for later before going down to talk to ProfitBot. It kind of serves as a warm-up to, like, what's going to be in the full game, which is a lot more mashing appears once you start interacting with more characters. So, a lot more mashing appears once you start interacting with more characters, so it kind of acts as a warm-up to the endurance you're going to have to mash through all the remaining cutscenes in the game, because we still have like another 25 minutes or so. And it looks like they're about even right now, re-entering the game after sleeping. Sleeping is a thing you need to do once in each area. Sleeping is a mechanic that's meant to help build the world, more specifically Nico, to kind of make you connected to Nico, so there's a heartbreaking event at the end of the game. And that's one thing about this game, if you'd like to play it casually, is that a lot of the world building and just kind of connection you feel through the game is just made by its absolute breaking of the fourth wall, which is going to come into place pretty soonish. Kona took a little bit of a lead because Baister didn't grab the pipe before sleeping. What Baister did is actually one tile movement faster, which means 10 frames faster. Running one tile takes 10 frames, so Baister saved 10 frames in the little house where you sleep. But now they're super fast traveling. So I've mentioned fast traveling. Whenever you enter a screen, you get access to a fast travel location, which you can go to at any time, as long as you're not on the screen. And it always sends you to a specific point of that screen. So what you see Kona and Baister now doing here is they are fast traveling off of a screen and then back onto it to get further onto the screen than you can get by just walking that amount of time. This is used to get farther into the cliffs and also to get to Silver's house sooner, where you will get a screwdriver. We're almost at the point where you do everything. The last step before we start a major crafting section where we go in the inventory and basically combine a ton of items at once to create the same end goal is the camera, which Kona and Baister just got now. You have to watch this cutscene in order to let you leave the mines, so that's why they go over here. You have to go into the mines to get the camera, so it's worth it. So once everything here is done, we have a little bit of a menuing problem from Kona. Baister's starting a little bit on crafting what we're trying to craft here. Kona probably going to start around now, yep. Gonna pop the lens out of the camera, put the lens in the battery that we just got from that box that we pried open with the crowbar, and we can charge it using the sun to create a charged generator battery. And with that, you can turn on this generator. Going back to fourth wall things here, we have a little bit of a community joke. You have to talk to this computer to get a randomized safe code. Safe code scroll, you can choose a number from 0 through 9. You can scroll up or down. And so we like to pretend that the type of code you get is way more major than it actually is. So you see, it takes more time to scroll to a number like 5 or 7 than it does like 1 or 9. So you usually want numbers either like as low or as high as possible. You don't want any numbers in the middle. Kona's didn't look too good. I wasn't looking at Baister's. Kona still has a little bit of a lead here. It looks like entering the northern part of the Barrens. The reason why we opened that safe in the first place was to get the gas mask that lets us up here. So, because this is where we're going to get some of the stuff for our ending. Kona's going to grab the sponge as well as the gloves. Baister right behind. This is a pretty close race so far. We see Baister doing some movements to save very small amounts of frames over Kona just in movement. Specifically with double doorways, which are kind of weird in this game. The entrance to the factory, the old factory, is a single doorway, and then the exit is a double doorway. It's some confusing stuff. You also see that as you get more fast travel locations, the list just gets longer and longer. You do kind of have to know like how many times you have to hit buttons in order to fast travel most efficiently. It looks like we had a bit of a menuing problem from Kona, which let Baister catch up a lot. They both have the syringe equipped. I need to get Crunchy's attention, but they both have the syringe equipped to get the water, and now going to get the smoke from this with the bottle, and now going to make a cleaning acid. So with the cleaning acid, you can go to clean off this robot. We're not quite done yet, because even after we clean off the robot, there's going to be one more step for us, and that is, well, the robot does not quite remember what to do. So we've turned on the power to power up the robot, we've cleaned it, but now we have to help it remember where to go to get further to the center of the world where the tower is. So we need to talk to Silver here, who gives us the special amber. The amber is one of 3 very important items in the run that'll be very useful, that are required to get into the endgame portion. And so with the amber, oh my, Kona falling behind, Baister taking the lead at the end of the Barrens due to Kona accidentally menuing into the cliffs instead of the docks while fast traveling. That's a very unfortunate mistake to make, however, it is a mistake that happens from time to time, and now you have Baister in the lead entering the second area of the game, just barely. So yeah, you can see how little things cause the race to look much closer and then separate a bit and then come much closer, which is something really interesting about OneShot, is there's multiple ways to do really small things, but if you do them the wrong way, they will result in time loss. So you do have to be careful with what you do. The Glen is an area that is a major example of that. Several puzzles coming up in the Glen have several routes you can use to get through them, as well as a few elements of just random NPC movement messing with you. Oh, we have a nice sink here. It looks like Kona accidentally ran a little bit too far down right after taking the lead and had to hesitate a bit on that cutscene, putting Baister back in first. That was not the right button to press, I'm sorry. It looks like both of them had a good robot. That robot loves to block your optimal running path. However, Baister stuttered a bit getting into the stairs, so Kona's in the lead again. By how many steps is that? I think that's 2 or 3 steps. I think it's 3 steps, which is 30 frames, half a second. This is a great race so far from these two. But now we have the character Maze. Maze sets the tone for the Glen here, because what we have to do is we have to give up the sun to Maze to help her relax, because what relaxing will make her do is receive the vines in the area, which we can use to gain more items that we weren't previously able to gain. But at the cost of that, the light is now gone. This is such a close race. But yeah, the light around Nico that you usually see is now gone. So, and coming up is the first of the major puzzles in the Glen. Have the Alula Puzzle. So we first met Calamus at the beginning in the forest. Calamus had a sister named Alula missing. This puzzle rescues Alula. This puzzle is not random. You're supposed to talk to a computer like you do to get the safe code in the Barrens to free Alula to get the solution to this puzzle, but this one's not random, so we don't need that computer anymore. We can just take Alula. Baister actually did a faster solution to the puzzle than Kona did, giving him a few seconds of edge now after a super close race the entire time. And so we'll see what Kona does to make that up, because this is definitely a matchup going for blood. Again, it's our first elimination matchup of the whole tournament. This is a race that definitely the two do want to play on their A game. And it seems like they are so far. Baister getting into the Ram puzzle. Doing my Route 1, which is slow. Meanwhile, Kona, it looks like, is doing Baister's original Ram route, which is the fastest of them all. So I believe he saved around 35 frames, 34 frames over Baister in that section of the game. Still not enough to get a lead with what Baister has going for him right now. Something that Calamus could mess up here. When you reunite Calamus and Alula, you have to say yes or no. The problem with this game is the 2 buttons you use to advance text are a confirm and cancel button, so it's really easy to choose the wrong thing in a choice prompt when mashing. And if you say no to Calamus, you have to go all the way to this house yourself, which just wastes a ton of time. Alright, let's see the difference here. It looks like about 3.5 seconds lead for Baister. Really good. Kona's last race time, his times compared to Baister's times were kind of fishy. So it's definitely good to see Kona this close to Baister, an opponent who definitely a lot of people expect to take this set. It's definitely good to see Kona on the bar, because with the later half of the game, it's really easy to mess up and just lose a few seconds due to something bad. And that can cause a lead shift if the two are this close. So now we have the sun back, and we have a feather, and we have everything we need. The whole time we could have gone to the 3rd area of the game, however, we needed to sign a scroll. So we not only got the feather from helping Alula and Calamus reunite, but by doing the Ram puzzle, we got wool, which we traded in for some dye, which we can make a pen with. However, the feather is golden, which will be our 2nd of the golden items, similar to the amber I mentioned earlier, that's going to be required to beat the game, to enter the final area of the game. Looks like Baister had some problems launching the game. Oh, yeah. Okay, so, Baister had some problems launching the game, which actually put Kona a little bit ahead. So we found out in a freak accident one day that this game actually reacts pretty well to you putting in custom assets. Baister having a ton of menu problems with the feather pen. That in most cases, this game is pretty okay with custom assets. And our community meme lords, I'd like to give huge shout-outs to not only Kona and Baister, but iPie for Fun, who's going to be in the next set of races coming at 9:30 after this set of 3. Definitely have memed on this game more than you'd think. Special mentions go to Konasumi's Fortnite-themed title screen, which I'm not getting into because he didn't show it, so I don't need to. I get to avoid this topic. Instead, I get to talk about the Refuge, which is the third major area of the game. Right now, we're in the sky. We want to get to the ground because we're told by this robot that there's a library. And that's the best place to be, really. So, to get there, we need to fix an elevator. As Lamplighter proclaims here, this elevator's broken. Not because the mechanics are broken, but because the magnetic button that usually leads to the ground isn't there anymore, which is not good. So we are tasked with making a new button. All they need is... Okay, I'm not going to go there. So immediately what you have to do is there's kind of 4 corners to this central elevator deck area. And you're going to go to each of them on your quest. So this first one we go to, we kind of go in a clockwise order starting from the bottom right. So we go to the cafe to get the tin, and then we immediately go to do the sleep. This game is kind of silly in, you know, how the tired system works, but cutscenes, character development, that's what this game's all about. So, a weird thing about this room is because it's the way it is, you can fast travel out of it, even though it's indoors, and that's usually an illegal move. You can fast travel out of it, and it doesn't have its own fast travel point. It's a really weird location, but it works, I guess. And so now Kona and Baister are heading into the apartments. Going to get the scissors from this pile of hair on the ground in the bathroom. And in this big apartment, we are going to get some fridge magnets. Kona talking to the wrong fridge. But it's okay. Has a decent amount of time. Oh, okay. I was going to say has a decent amount of time over Baister, but slowly throwing that time away, it seems. Definitely not on purpose, but, you know, it happens. It looks like both of them having problems with crafting the button here. So once you make the magnetized button, you're not completely done yet, because the magnets aren't very secure onto the little cutout part of the coffee tin that says ground, because, hey, the button goes to the ground. So what you need to do is you need to go to this office and actually interact with this tape measure with the button equipped, and you can tape the magnets to the button, which will allow you to, you know, make the thing work. However, the elevator doesn't like that, and it's going to make us put in a security code. Unlike the previous 2 codes, the computer code in the house and the safe code in the Barrens, this code is not random. This is always going to be 63014. Which Kona did not have a bad time inputting. Looks like Baister, with a little bit of problems, going to give Kona a little bit more of a lead going into the elevator here, which is a very long cutscene. So in this elevator, there are 2 options. You can either not talk to the lamplighter and be a respectful patron and not talk to a stranger in an elevator, or you can talk to the lamplighter and get a ton of information about what you're supposed to do. If you go through every dialogue option, instead of resuming the awkward silence in the elevator, it'll instantly end the elevator ride. And if your mashing is good enough, which it's good enough is a really lenient phrase in this cutscene because of how long the awkward silence takes, it's just better to mash through all the dialogue options than it is to wait through the entire silence. So here on the ground section of the refuge, we're going to be setting up a really weird fast travel sequence. We get the back alley and then go to the library, travel back to the back alley in sort of a super fast travel method, except we're going to go to the vendor street first and then travel back to the library, which not only acts as a super fast travel, but also gives us a good fast travel point for later. That is going to lead to the final area of the game, but if you recall, we still need one more golden item in order to get down there. I said we needed 3, we only have 2. The third one is right behind in the back section of this library. Although, if you recall... Okay, I don't know why I said that. But you're supposed to do a lot of side quests to get a library card and stuff like that. And we skipped that all. It's a really weird mechanic. I'm going to explain George first. George is a character who is a die, meaning they have 6 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Each of them have a different personality and a different amount of dialogue. The one that Baister got is George 1, which is the 3rd fastest, only 4 frames slower than George 6, only about, I think, 0.6 or 0.7 seconds slower than the fastest one, which is George 5. George 3, that Kona got, is the slowest one by about a second compared to the second slowest one. So maybe about 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds to the one that Baister got. And Baister actually takes a lead due to better mashing and just less mistakes and better text. Both of them getting the golden die. So both of them now actually have all 3 items needed to enter the tower, which is definitely a really hard section. The way that this cutscene works, it doesn't just push you in a specific direction, it actually just pushes you straight backwards, so you do need to do the skip here again. I'll explain that skip now. So whenever you close the game unorthodox, which is without the use of a bed, and I think Baister just text crashed? Oh, okay, no, just a lot of frame drops. Okay, so when you close the game without the use of a bed, the game kind of freaks out a little bit. And the problem with it when it freaks out a little bit is Nico freaks out a little bit. The game doesn't freak out. Nico freaks out when you turn the game back on. And then actually plays a cutscene. Now, if you walk onto a tile and then close the game in the middle of walking, when Nico, when you get back in the game, Nico will stop walking. And then, but the cutscene, the scared cutscene when Nico doesn't know what to do because you close the game, will pop up. And kind of activate in the middle of your walk. So it'll skip whatever cutscene was supposed to play at the end of your walk animation when you land on the tile. Meaning if you do the close game while walking on a tile onto a cutscene tile, you skip the cutscene on that tile. And with that library desk back there to get to the dice, which is the 3rd golden item we used to get into the tower where Baister is now, and Kona, you skip a cutscene that tells the game to push Nico back a tile. So when it doesn't push Nico back a tile, it you can get into the library without the intended item. So that's called Kip Skip because you can skip a character named Kip, as well as getting the library card and stuff like that. And now we're in the final part of the tower. So they have a program running in the background known as Clover.exe that basically acts as a way for the creator of the world, who in the canon is a different person than the developers, I should mention. The creator of the world in order to kind of guide you through the tower, because the game is setting up a huge emotional moment here at the end of the game. And you're supposed to use that as kind of a divide so Nico doesn't know what's going on. But what you have to do for Nico is use that program, which fortunately these puzzles aren't randomized, so we can memorize them, to guide Nico through this kind of puzzle labyrinth that is the tower. So the tower takes on 3 different phases. You see this little cross-path walking area here. We have to walk in a specific path to then get to the doors. We have to walk into a specific sequence of doors, which is a really weird sequence to learn. A lot of people learn this in different ways just because of how kind of wild of a section this is. But I should mention now, as you probably can tell, movement is key here. So throughout the whole game, the menuing and the mashing and the puzzles have been key. In this last section, it's entirely reliant on the movement. So if you mess up your movement, you can start losing massive amounts of time, especially on the tile puzzles, where Baister accidentally steps on the wrong tile So these tile puzzles are kind of like when we freed Alula back in the Glen. You have to do specific steps in order to create a certain shape. You have to do 4 of these. Baister had another bit of problem with the second one here. Fortunately, good recoveries. That's the thing you need to do, is if you mess up, you need to have good recovery. Which can be hard to do at times, especially with this final pattern being a light bulb shape. You have to be real careful with what you do. We see Baister panicking a little bit, fixing everything. Oh, it looks like it wasn't a panic. It was just a bit of lag spike again. Meanwhile, Kona doing another kind of unorthodox strat like the original light bulb, and it looks like Baister finished a little bit early. We're seeing more frame drops from Baister is the problem. It looks like they're fixed now. These two are super close, though. Heading into the kind of epilogue of the game. We'll see their fades. 2601 versus a high 2602. This is literally a second and a half between the two. Small mashing in the final cutscenes of the game could make this a race to someone else, especially if someone forgot to rebind their pause key off of enter. This could be really bad for someone. You see the dialogue that Baister and Kona are mashing through here, the kind of Windows text boxes. The key to mash through these is enter, and enter is default bound to a pause key. So, yeah, you have to make sure not to have enter be a pause key, otherwise you're gonna do that. And it looks like they're super close right now in the final elevator. One last mashing section, which possibly could change things. Who knows? We have another lag spike from Baister, so we don't know how he's doing. I don't know what happened to Baister. We don't know. This is really scary, actually. Baister, is his stream okay? I want to know where Baister's stream is, because this was a really close race. We do see Kona finished with what looks like a 27-23. And Baister with another 27-23? I need to frame count that game. I need to frame count that. So, in the result of the retimes that I looked at, it looks like our final verdict on the race is assuming nobody has any problems with me and the way I had to do this. Everybody? There's the text. According to frame timing, Konasumi takes game 1 by a single frame. 1 frame! 0.2 second victory. 27:23.49 for Konasumi. 27:23.51 for baister09 is the official game for this. Is the official time we're going with for game 1. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with you in a second for game 2 of the series. All right, everybody, welcome back. We should have a runner running to the bathroom, and then we'll be ready for game 2. So please, hang tight. Okay, I just threw out our countdown, so we should be getting started as soon as stream delay catches up. All right, looks like they're off now. Grabbing the branch again. Baister with a little bit of movement mistake at the beginning, I think. Okay, there might be a bit of delay from like sync that may need to be done again. We'll see what's going on here once syncs get together, I guess. It looks like they're pretty equal right now. Maybe Kona with a small lead. But who's to say? All right, looks like they're both now entering the Barrens. I'm trying to get the sync situation all fixed up, but it does not seem to want to. All right, I'll try this one on for size. All right, we're all good now. Sorry about that. It does look like my theory about Konasuma, where did that come from? Konasumi having a small lead was correct. Just a better house, usually. Barrens Sleep, again, is kind of a warm-up section for the rest of the run, so it's very hard to lose major amounts of time here, and especially with a lead difference like this, I can definitely think house is more to blame than any other section. Kona's still grabbing the pipe, so that's still free 10 frames for Baister. Free 10 frames. Yeah. Hey, those were important last race. Kona won by 1 frame last race. Those 10 frames could be everything. Who knows? Alright, let's see. So they're going to be done with the battery soon, once again, doing those super fast travels. It looks like Kona's lead has been pretty good. This is definitely a surprising development. The two are very close in PBs, as I mentioned, but we've seen Baister on a pretty good A game, but we've not seen Kona pull a time like 27-23 in quite a bit. So it was definitely a shock to see that last race happen, and it definitely looks like Kona is on good right now. Just about everybody, I believe, has their prediction set for Baister to win this set, which is why I'm actually really kind of looking forward to what's happening right now. This could be an upset that maybe people didn't plan to happen, but it's definitely one that was plausible, and I'm just still really thrilled about that last race. Kona still in that lead, though, entering the outpost. I almost said the outhouse, but no. Both doing their battery crafts now. It looks like a bit of a menu mishap for Kona. Not too major considering the... Okay, this is a bit more major. Alright. Kona still retaining a bit of that lead, but it has greatly diminished through those menuing mistakes. Let's see. Safe code can make a difference here, actually. If Kona has a safe code that's very long to scroll to, and Baister has a quick one, this could be some good time for Baister. And especially, it looks like Kona messing up a bit. Still retaining a lead, though. That seems to be a theme. Kona definitely seems to be retaining leads a lot when he gains them. It took a while for that lead in the first race to go away, and when it did go away, it was due to something that Kona legitimately just does not have an optimal route for. So it's really interesting to see Kona's ability to retain a lead against a player like Baister. These two, again, I've said it countless times, super close in PB, so it's great to see these two carry consistent close matches. Both of them going to get their syringe now. Syringe! Oh! Kona accidentally not going in the door. Syringe caused a lot of trouble to Kona last race, fortunately equipping it really quickly. Okay. Having a bit of problems there. They're about tied right now. Baister still needs to equip the syringe if he does that quickly enough. No, he has it equipped. Okay. Oh, okay, so that was never a cropping issue to begin with. That was just Baister's own stream not being amazing. That is not epic. So yeah, it looks like the two are pretty close together right now. Baister did take that lead. Alright, so now they have their cleaning fluid, they have their robots powered on, they just need to get their amber, which we need to go through this cutscene to do. It looks like Kona forgot to clean off robot, giving Baister a few extra seconds here. But Baister accidentally travels to the shrimp swamp, which negates the few seconds. Okay, but okay, Kona's just running around in circles. And they're both going through chess at the same time. Chess, I never explained this. This is a really long cutscene. It's a story cutscene, basically. Baister having a bit of problems with just about everything at the end here. But still going to be having a small lead over Kona, exiting the Barrens, just like last race. Although this lead is significantly bigger for Baister than it was last time at this point. So that's definitely reassuring, especially considering this is an elimination match. So again, whoever loses is out of this tournament now, with no wins under their belt. And although Kona is definitely a good player, Baister definitely came into this bracket knowing his limits, knowing the best he can do, and pushing to do that. So I know he's definitely not a player that you'd expect to go 0-2. 5th seed in this whole bracket. Definitely a strong opponent. It would be surprising, honestly, to see him go 0-2. However, there always is the 7th match if they want to plan a match like that. Both of them talking to Calamus. It looks like Kona doing the same thing as last time, talking to Calamus directly, which is not the best option because it can make easier repeats of dialogue, which you don't want. But Kona seems to still be doing that. And it looks like they're both heading now into the Glen's ruins, where Kona gets an awful pattern from the walking robot. Meanwhile, Baister is allowed to just walk on by on the perfect path to Maze's room, which is right down here. I gotta say, Kona's strategy to walking to the way left here in order to just kind of skirt around the corner is pretty interesting. It's a good way to tell the visual cue, I guess, so you'd waste as minimal time as possible. But you usually like to go in straight lines just because it's easier on your inputs and on your hands. And again, this game's all about endurance, especially in a best-of-3 race setting. You're going to need the endurance to mash through all these cutscenes 2 or 3 times. So, you know, anytime you can get to just, like, not have your hands kill you is great. But Kona seems to like to do things that may take a little extra work for the sake of just movement convenience, which is definitely a good thing in this game, where any small mistake can add up super quickly. You do want all convenience possible. But sometimes, you know, you just got to know what you're doing. Baister, heading into this puzzle, looks like makes a mistake, fixes it quickly. Still going to be ahead of Kona at the end of the puzzle because Kona does this slower solution. Definitely lowered the lead he had fairly significantly, I want to say. It's still there. It's still very obvious as to how it is. It's still about a second, it looks like. Yeah, it looks to be a bit over a second for Baister currently. We'll see what Kona can do to catch up. We still have half the game in front of us, so... who knows what'll happen. Yeah, Kona had a problem with that Shepherd last race, so it's definitely understandable for him to be very cautious when talking to the Shepherd in this race. And it looks like they're done with the puzzle around similar times. And they're really close now. Kona definitely did a good job. Oh my goodness, this sync. Oh my goodness. What is this? Alright, Baister has the smallest of leads. Oh my goodness. I mean, I guess it's not the smallest. We did see a one-frame victory, but still. Oh my god. This is an unbelievable set. Oh no. Oh my god, their turns are perfectly in sync. This is what this tournament was all about. Like, we all as a community were like, hey, we like this game, we like running it, but like watching two people play it next to each other is one of the craziest looking things. And this tournament, this race is what this tournament was made for. Jeez Louise. This is such a good race. Baister struggled crafting the feather pen item here last time, so that could be something that lets Kona catch up if he does better, but Baister did a good job, and Kona did a pretty good job. I think Baister took a little bit of a lead here over Kona in terms of movement, so gonna be keeping on his audio so far. The game is completely normal. I don't know what anybody in chat is talking about. No, custom assets are actually 100% allowed on the leaderboards of this game. We're able to tell, basically custom graphics are 100% allowed. The only thing that crosses the line in this game in terms of modding things into your game is text. Changing text is not allowed at all. But custom graphics do not mean anything, because they don't change the load times of the game is all. So yes, if somebody created One-Shot Repainted, you could totally run on that if it was possible and if you would want to. Yeah, Kona's definitely having a bit of movement problems, giving Baister some leads here at the beginning of the Refuge. Yeah, okay. We'll see how this area goes. Kona actually lost a bit of lead here in last race, so Baister stopped being in chat. So this could be something that is good for Baister to expand the lead. Granted, already has it. Granted, if Kona can mess this up, Baister can too. Alright, let's see them both get these magnets. Hopefully Kona talks to the right bridge this time. Does so, but loses 20 frames in the process due to walking too far on those tiles. I always obsess over frames, don't worry. It looks like doing some crafting now. Kona doing it as well. Super close. I think Kona might have done a little bit of a better job on that. It looks like about half of the second and a half, so like maybe 3/4 of a second. No, way less than that now. Oh, God. Accidentally double talking to the tape dispenser puts Kona a little bit behind. He still needs to equip the button, which he does right here at the last second. Let's see how they do on the code. Code inputting is huge. Kona accidentally putting in 0, 0, inputting too many presses. Good thing for Baister, bad thing for Kona. Definitely puts a few things, a few dents in Kona's kind of chances. Still there, of course, this race game, anything can happen. But yeah, the world record for this game is actually a 25:37, currently by Crudes. Crudes is a crazy good text masher. It looks like Baister not going in the normal order, asking things backwards, which is definitely a valid strategy, I guess. It makes it better to recover from if you accidentally input too much, but it's actually not that common considering that. Baister entering the final area of the game before the tower, the Refuge grounds, with a few seconds lead. Starting to set up the fast travel sequence. Baister is going to get to the library now. Kona right behind. We'll see how Baister does on Kip Skip here. Looks good. Kinda close, but going to get the skip, I believe, regardless. Yep, that is perfect. Meanwhile, Kona also doing a good job on the skip. Getting George 6, the second fastest George, for both of them. So no one can complain about George here. Kona had a bit of problems with George last race, so it's definitely understandable to see Kona taking a few safeties with the speed of the text while talking to George. However, all it does is for Baister is just increase his lead even more, which is dangerous because these two, oh no. Oh no. Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that. Baister talks to George. Kona talks to George. It looks like George kind of did a little bit better movements for Kona than Baister. And they are both out of here doing their Kip Skips once again. That was fishy for Baister. Kona messing up the second attempt again. Baister still getting the Kip Skip. I was actually really worried there. I should not have been. Alright, Baister heading into the tower now. Kona not too far behind. Has to go through this cutscene. It looks like about a mid-22:19 on hitting the door to enter this walkway, compared to Kona's mid-22:29. So about 10 seconds for Baister. You cannot perform this action during cutscenes. So 10 seconds for Baister entering the tower, the final area of the game, which, although this is probably the biggest lead that we've seen at any point between the last two races, that is still an amount of time that could be thrown away if Baister has a poor tower. And I definitely believe nerves could be a factor in the finishing time for these two. Both of them finding their computer in the darkness of the tower. Time to get into the bed. They both hopefully remembered to reopen their Clover files. Otherwise, that could be A real shame. A bit of a long open for Baister. But it looks like he has the Clover file open. As well as Kona. So we're both good. Now we just have to get through the tower. Can you do the left, up, up, right, left, down, down? Can you do the 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 4, 2, 2, 3, and 1, 4, 2, 3, 2? Can you do it? We're going to go back and clip the ending of the last run if nobody did it live. The problem with it was Baister's frame drops made it hard. So now they're in the tower. It looks like Kona about 2 screens behind. Baister entering doors. Having a little bit of problem with doors, fixing it quickly. Kona running into the wall. This is crazy. I can't speak. How am I supposed to commentate this? This is commentating itself. Just run to the right. All right, tile time. This is everything. All right. Both of them nailing the vertical line, going into the weird L shape. Kona messing up the L shape horribly. Not horribly, never mind. That looked way worse than it was. Baister with a bit of a mistake, although great recovery. Kona with another mistake. This is going to be hard for Kona to take. Kona doesn't even know what to do. This has to be a gargantuan choke from Baister for Kona to take the race at this point. Especially with Kona's slower than normal light bulb puzzle route. I don't know what... Yeah, no, I don't know at this point what Kona could do. Yeah, that's it. Baister. Ooh, that's a bit of a funky little looking thing for Kona. Yep. Shuffling around. No, no. This is not a good thing, Kona. Just gonna, this is really, what other option is there? Kona, no. Kona. Alright. This is Baister's game for the taking. Alright, Baister's in the elevator now. Kona is in the final hallway. Come on, Baister, you can crash the game, right? Alright, and Baister getting to the top of the tower, finishing with a time of 27-22. Everybody watching? For the first time in the One-Shot Any Tournament, we're going to Game 3. Baister takes the second victory. Takes the victory in the second round. Bringing both players to 1 point out of the 2 needed to win. Kona still finishing up with a respectable 27-52. We actually have a bit of a a predicament in chat right now. I'm going to double check on that before we actually go into a game 3. So we have a bit of news that might contradict what I just said. According to re-timed game start times for Game 1, we are actually giving Game 1 to Baister, meaning that we are not going to Game 3 because Baister took both games. Still a huge GG to both, though. We're going to get both of them in here shortly for interviews. All right. While they are getting in here, I'd like to remind you to follow the runners for the great set of races they threw today. Speaking of runners, we have our victor for today. Hello. We can't hear you. Hello.
Is that better?
That is much better. Hello.
There we go. My mic was
Congratulations.
I don't feel super great about that win. That first game was like a roller coaster of emotions.
It definitely was, and it's kind of unfortunate. I really did want to see a Game 3, however.
Me too.
It's kind of, especially after the hype
how close that Game 1 was. And I saw, I saw chat say we were close going into like library.
You guys were close the whole time.
Watching. Yeah.
I legitimately think the biggest gap in times the whole time was the ending of Game 2, which was like 30 seconds.
I'm gonna guess Kona messed up tower because I messed up tower, and that was a pretty good gap at the end.
Yeah, Kona had a lot of problems in tower on the second game.
Yeah, he was.
So,
he was
well, you still took it, which is definitely something that I know you were hoping for, because now you get to face the loser,
of you and Durbell.
Me and Durbell, who I don't want to be too pessimistic, but probably going to be me. And I know you wanted to race me. I have,
because we, yeah, we're super
I'll make sure not to throw the game against Dur, but I'm probably going to lose anyways.
I don't know, man. I got 22 and a 23.
Yeah.
I think it's consistent.
That is consistent.
I got a gold Barrens.
Something I do definitely fear. But again, it was a great job. We still don't have Kona in here.
I'm just chilling and set up. Yeah,
and I definitely want to get Kona in here.
I did get 1 gold though, which is nice. I got a gold Barrens sleep first game, and then lowered my best by 1 second.
Gold meme split.
Right. I think it's because I started doing your strat, which is not grabbing the rod right away.
Oh, you got the 10 frame gold.
I got the 10 frames.
Yes. That makes me happy.
I'm very happy because I got like a 28-10 or something like that in a practice run today.
Oh, jeez,
Which is not pretty.
That is not a good time to have.
Started off by saying my name was not Bailey, so.
Oh.
It's unfortunate, but yeah. At least I'm glad I got 2 20s though. That was good.
Yeah, that is good. And we have Kona.
Hey, what's up?
Easy,
so
dude.
I'm sorry about the roller coaster from that first game.
Oh no, that's my fault.
It was definitely
Don't apologize for that.
Whirlwind of just absolute insanity. That being said, I definitely think you should take that as a mark that you did really well today.
I'm really proud of how I played.
I need to watch this one for sure.
I did my best, and that's all I can do.
I definitely think you did a great job watching the lead. One thing I noticed is that you are very good at keeping small leads. Like, you have some really weird strategies to some things, like your light bulb puzzles, both of them.
Mm-hmm.
But you're definitely on movement is a really good suit, which of course is always put to the test in Tower, but except for that, it seemed like you had a really good job just keeping on your pace despite what happened, and it definitely made for a good set of races.
Yeah, I'm really glad they were as close as they were. I'm sure it was fun to watch. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch the races today.
Yeah.
Especially being on solo comm, that must be fun.
It was stressful, I can tell you that. I totally didn't see safe codes at all. I was like, oh no. I mean, I saw the 5 that Kona put.
Oh, yeah.
Besides the point. That made me cry.
I had a really good one game too.
Yeah, no, Kona changed the broken light bulb and the nightmare in the library to be a 5555555.
Nice.
The best safe code around.
So, yeah, that was terrifying. Good. But other than that, it was really good race between you two. The chat got a laugh out of Phil.
I'm glad.
Yeah, I saw that.
So,
our boy Phil.
But yeah, so Kona, you're unfortunately eliminated entirely.
Yeah.
How did you feel? Did you expect this? Were you still hoping to take this game or just hoping to take a game in general?
I felt like of all the matches I've done, this would be the most likely one I would win. Mm-hmm. And I spent time practicing to make sure I would play at my best. And I did make a few big mistakes, especially in game 2.
Yeah.
But I think at the end, Baister is overall more consistent than I am. He's been running the game a bit more often. And I think because of that, it's given him an advantage.
That is definitely
making the same small mistakes every run.
Yeah, that happens. But yeah, I definitely agree with that. Especially because your seeding period was kind of the disaster, which put you in 7th. I definitely think if you could have built up to 6th, you could have taken a game off of. I think you'd be facing. I think Derb would have been facing 6th. Would have been you. So you would have ended up going against Chris instead in this round, which I definitely think is a game you could have successfully taken.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, it's just you took a while, you took a break, and then you didn't get back to your A game in time for seeding. but it definitely showed that you got it back in time for this race. This was not...
Yeah, I felt prepared
I wasn't
for
sure
today.
if we were going to see some 28s or some close races, and I'm glad we got the ladder.
I'm so glad we got close races. I was very excited going into this one because there was a while, like a few months ago, when you were kind of catching up to me, and I was like, "Oh God, Kona's gonna pass," and then you passed me.
And then you both passed me.
Well, yeah, because you're bad.
Okay.
Yeah, baister09.
43.
Baister and I have always had a little rivalry when it comes to one shot.
Yeah.
It's been fun to actually get to race you live on Speed Gaming.
Yeah, likewise.
I got out. But yeah, it definitely was entertaining. This was definitely a race that people in the community and around the community that know the community wanted to see because they know the connection between you two. And I definitely think this is what everybody wanted from this race. I can't ask for anything more.
Except the game 3. Oof.
So what was the... How late did I start my timer in round 1?
I believe you started it around the 0.3 section. So, like, you started about 0.3 seconds late, which, if I know how to math, which is hard, might have been a bit under 20 frames.
Oh, yeah, so I still definitely lost.
So, you lost by about 20 frames in game 1, if we're going by that data.
Which
still
is so
crazy.
Which, yeah, this is still insane. But it's kind of sad we don't get a game 3, but we do get at least 2 other games not involving you two, because in about 45 minutes, we're actually going to be coming back here on this channel for the other elimination match in round 2, that being iPie for Fun versus Chris 18.
Commentated by your two favorite people, me and Lori.
Yeah. Baister here, our winner, is going to be hopping maybe with me. I kind of don't know if I have it in me to take another set of games, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yep. This should be a fun one.
Yeah,
this one's a toss-up. This is the first one. This race is the first one that on the challenge is not 100% prediction. Me versus Kona was definitely a toss-up, but even like people in predictions were like, it was less close in terms of that.
Yeah,
like,
again, Kona wasn't really... In pre-tournament, Kona wasn't in the A game that we saw here, so a lot of people were kind of skeptical if the A game would come, but it did.
For Chris versus iPie, I think it's 4-6 in terms of who's going to win.
Yeah, I believe there's 6 predictions, and 2/3 of those predictions are going on iPie, and 2 of them are going on Chris. So it's definitely going to be a good match.
If you enjoyed today's race, be sure to check out the next one in about an hour, I think.
40 minutes-ish.
Yeah.
Right here.
Right here on the main channel. Thank you to, speaking of main channel, thank you to Speed Gaming for hosting this tournament. Yeah. I don't think I could have asked for this race with anybody else behind the wheel making the stream as good as it could be. I am running out of things to say.
Thank you, Lori, for commentating this race.
No problem. I had a blast. Follow the runners. They did a great job. Thank you for actually playing the game and showing up.
Yeah. It's always fun.
Yeah. Fun game.
And so, yeah, I'm going to hop out. See you in about 40 minutes, possibly. You're definitely going to see Baister once again for our second elimination race.
Bye.
Bye.